The Declaration of Independence lays out what the proper role of government is. It says in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And governments are instituted among men to protect those rights. Therefore, government's only role, its proper function, is to protect the unalienable God-given rights that we all have. The federal government's role in job creation is to stay out of the capitalist world. The government does not create jobs. It does create an environment that either stifles jobs or helps capitalists and the free market thrive. And in recent years, we've seen that the government has, through regulation and tax policy, done nothing to help create or drive the economy. It has driven the economy down. So the proper role for government in creating jobs is to stay out of the way and let the entrepreneurs, let the small business person, and let the business people create the jobs, because government does not create jobs. In a perfect world, we would return to apportionment, the type of taxation system where the federal government is not taxing directly an individual's income. We would repeal the 16th Amendment, and we'd return to a system where the states collect the tax, and then they send a portion of that to the federal government to pay for those things that are in Article 1, Section 8, and are constitutional for the federal government to be doing. With that being the ideal goal, we should take steps to flatten the tax, broaden the base so that everybody is bought into the tax system, and move towards a system that is more fair and flat. I am a proponent of both the fair tax and the flat tax, but we need to move towards those, and ultimately, the ultimate goal would be a return to apportionment. The federal government has no constitutional authority to be involved in public education. And their involvement in public education has hurt our children at the local level. I am in full support of eliminating the Department of Education, repealing No Child Left Behind, and getting the federal government out of our educational system. There's no one in Washington, D.C. that knows how to educate our children better than the parents and the teachers here locally. For my family, we participate in all forms of education. We homeschool some of our children, and we also have a child in public school and also a child, a foster child in a special needs school. We know about education. Our parents know about education. The federal government should not be involved in dictating to the states and the local districts how to educate our children. My stance on illegal immigration is really simple. We need to secure our borders. However we do that, I don't really care. We just need to get it done. We need to know who's coming into this country, not only for the fact that illegal immigrants are coming in here and really hurting our economy, but the fact that it's a national security issue. We have known fact that people are coming across the southern border who want to cause harm to the United States. We know that through our own FBI and CIA reports. So we need to secure the border. I think a mixture of fencing and technology is probably the best way. Increasing the Border Patrol agents is another way. The second step we need to do is we need to cut the entitlements. I'm a big fan of Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman was a supporter of open borders. He was Ronald Reagan's economist, and he said, even he said, that in a welfare nation, open borders cannot work because it will bankrupt the nation. Well, we are a welfare nation. When people can come to this country, receive free health care, free education, free housing, food stamps, and discounted college tuition, they're going to continue to come. We must remove the incentives for illegal immigrants to come here. Lastly, we need to free up the process for people who want to come to this country. People who want to come here and produce, people who want to come here and help promote the American way of life, why wouldn't we want those people here? We need to make it easier for people to come here legally. I've been working on this in the legislature for the past couple years. In fact, we, as a Patrick Henry caucus, I'm the co-founder of the Patrick Henry caucus, we passed a piece of legislation that started the eminent domain process over federally controlled lands. My take on energy policy is simple. I believe in the drill here, drill now policy. We need to access and use our natural resources. We are the only world leader who does not develop its own resources. We are dependent upon our enemies to get oil. We need to explore all energy policies. We need to drill here. We need to explore our energy and our oil shale and our tar sands that are here in Utah. It's estimated that just in the Kaparowitz Plateau alone, there's over $1 trillion worth of clean coal and natural gas. That's right here in Utah, but we can't access it because of federal wilderness policy. We need to take the handcuffs off of this state, the handcuffs off of the western United States, and explore and develop our natural resources. I'm also a very strong proponent of moving toward nuclear energy, developing all of our energy policies so that we can become energy independent as a nation. I think the biggest threat or culture to the American way of life is socialism. We are seeing an uprising of socialism in this country. In fact, we're seeing people who are typically good people, your neighbors and friends, who are embracing the ideals of socialism, and that is scary. This country was founded on capitalism, on free markets, on the ability to succeed in whatever venture you decide, and also the ability to fail. But we have moved down this path as a nation to the entitlement programs, the entitlement mentality, where everyone should be equal. That is scary. And that is probably, in my opinion, the biggest threat as far as culture goes. It will change the culture of our country, and it's already started to do that, where people feel like they are entitled to something rather than entitled to the fruits of their labor. Obviously, the biggest problem in this country right now is the economy. We are destroying our children's future. We are mortgaging their future. And that's not okay with me. And you know what? It's not okay with the American people. $15 trillion in debt. And by the time this video is done and disseminated amongst the voters, we're probably going to be $16 trillion in debt. We're spending about $1.5 trillion more than we bring in as a country. That's got to stop. What we are doing is literally fiscal child abuse. We stand on the precipice of being the first generation to hand to our children a less prosperous nation than the one we inherited. The American dream is slipping through the hands of the middle class in this country. The American dream is slipping through the hands of many of our children. And it's not because of decisions we've made. It's not because of decisions or things that we're doing. It's because of decisions made by bureaucrats thousands of miles away who are making decisions that are hurting us and harming us. And it ultimately comes down to a disregard to the Constitution, a complete disregard to the rights of the individual citizen, and a complete disregard to the powers that government should not have, but that they usurp and begin to impose on the American people. These are the biggest problems that we face in America. If I'm elected, I will not stop until we have gone back there and fought to return constitutional rights to the people and turn this economy around. These two clauses found in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution are, in fact, the two biggest problems we deal with as a nation. They are the most misunderstood, and they're the most abused. The General Welfare Clause, James Madison, the father of our Constitution, said that if the General Welfare Clause was ever taken too literally, it would create a metamorphosis of our Constitution that the founders never imagined. The General Welfare Clause has been taken so far out of context. Its original intent was a general welfare of our nation, as long as it was constrained to the enumerated powers in Article 1, Section 8. We're talking about national defense. We're talking about the things that protect our country. In Federalist 45, James Madison also said that the powers delegated to the federal government are few and defined. That does not lend itself to the way the General Welfare Clause is being used now, which is to redistribute wealth, put people on the government dole for life. That is not the way the General Welfare Clause ever was intended. The Interstate Commerce Clause is the same way. The Interstate Commerce Clause, in its original form, was intended to make sure that states are not cheating each other, that they're working on an even playing field, to make things regular, to make sure that the business that is done between the states is done in a fair and regular way. It was never intended to allow the federal government to regulate every aspect of our lives. We've seen court cases. Wickard v. Filburn in the 1940s. Kirschbaum County v. Walling is another case where the Supreme Court has given so much authority to Congress because of the Interstate Commerce Clause. We have fought this. I have led the fight on this here in the state of Utah. Just the last couple of years, we have passed legislation to restrict federal regulation on firearms that are made within the state of Utah. We have also moved in this direction when it came to other items such as dairy and agriculture. We are fighting it here at the state level. I will fight it at the federal level as well.